So this teaser trailer for Demon's Souls PS5 looks so cool, but it doesn't really show off a lot, and to be honest, I really don't want to have to wait to play a better version of an already existing PS3 game. So I'm not gonna wait. Right now, I can play on my PC this exact game. This right here, I am playing 1080p, 60 frames per second, Demon's Souls. As I'm sure you can tell, the game looks pretty good. It runs really well as well. This is on a PS3 emulator, and some of the games on this emulator do not run well. This is one that people have put a lot of time into getting the settings tweaked, so it runs really well. I am playing 1080p, and there is a 60 FPS patch that I'm using. There's also even a 120 FPS patch, but it does some weird stuff, so you can go ahead and try that out if you want, but I'm going to show you how to do the 60 FPS patch. And you can even bump up the res a ton if you want as well. I'm only going to go for 1080p, but you do you. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump to setting this up. So for starters, we're going to want to go to rpcs3.net. This is the PS3 emulator website, and right off the bat, we can go ahead and hit download. Okay, I am using Windows, so I will click on download for Windows, and it'll go ahead and get started with the newest build. This does update pretty frequently. Like, I think I had an update within like 24 hours of installing. You don't really need to update that often if you don't want to. These are probably doing nightly builds, so don't need to worry about that too much. Just go ahead and open it up, and then you'll make a folder somewhere on your PC, and you're going to want to call it, well, I called mine RPCS3. You can call it whatever you want, but you want to put all of these not in a WinRAR or 7-zip thing. So this is where I have mine. I'll go ahead and open the folder, and this is how all of my stuff is set up. A lot of these files you obviously do not have. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to open the exe. Okay, we'll go ahead and run it. See, look at that, a new version already. You'll get a prompt that asks if you want to go through the quick start. All it's going to do is it's going to take you to here and go through the quick start stuff, which basically is just some recommended specs. Hopefully you have a decent computer. Your computer is going to have to be stronger than PS3. By the way, if you were curious about this, you need a gaming capable computer. If you don't have that, I'm sorry, you're really not going to be able to do much. But if you do, continue on with the video. For software, we are doing Windows. For downloading firmware, this is a big thing. So what you're actually going to want to do is you can go to this little link right here, or you can just Google PlayStation 3 firmware. You will download the firmware, okay? So you hit agree and download, and then it'll download this PS3 updat file, okay? And whenever you get the updat, you can just go ahead and drag it into here, and then you go in the RPCS3 and you hit install firmware, and then you click on it and it'll run through and it will install the firmware so the game can run off the official firmware, which is really nice. For other emulators, you have to kind of rip them from your console or search around for them, but for the PS3, super easy, very convenient. If we want to go ahead and continue down through this, managing PS3 titles. So there are different ways that you can actually install games onto this. Blu-ray discs go into one spot. PKG files, if you're familiar with, I mean, honestly, I guess just downloading on the PS3, but really doing like custom firmware stuff, you may be familiar with the PKG files and RAP files. For Demon's Souls, we actually are not going to be able to do PKG. I've tried it, okay? If you go to install PKG, this is how you would normally do it. You will not be able to get Demon's Souls working as of this moment. As you can see right here, if we go through the known issues, the PSN versions do not work. Whenever it goes through the PSN version, which would be the PKG, it thinks that it's the Blu-ray version, and so it tries to identify the disc as a Blu-ray and tries to install it like a Blu-ray, and it does not work, and you will not be able to install it. What you'll need to do is you'll need to rip your game or find someone else's somehow on the internet. You know, that's up to you if you want to do that. and download that, or again, rip your own. I'm not going to make a tutorial on how to rip your own games at the moment. I have a custom firmware PS3 video that I'm working on right now, so hopefully I'll include that down the line. Now, once you have your actual game, it's fairly simple. You can either go ahead and add games or boot game. So you'll want to just find wherever you have this. I would go ahead and make a folder in where you keep your emulator and call it something like games, and you could just go to add it, and then you can hit refresh on here and it will add it to the list. Once you have everything set up, we'll go ahead and configure this to our liking. Now, you could go ahead and configure everything for the emulator overall, or you can actually do custom configurations for individual games, which is what I would recommend. That way you don't have to keep tweaking it every single time, which is super nice. So I would just go ahead and copy these settings. Make sure that you just grab all of this from the screen, go ahead and copy it over. This is what I found from other people. Trust me, I've spent very little time tweaking this stuff, but I watched a few different videos on this and went through some forum posts, and this seems to be, for the most part, settings that people are running for this, and it runs great for me as well, so hopefully it'll run good for you. Then GPU, I have it on Vulkan, even though I don't have like a AMD style thing. This only uses OpenGL and Vulkan, so go ahead and go with Vulkan. You're not going to change this at all. For this game, I don't believe there's a need to use a frame limit. Now, this is really where you could tweak stuff depending on what resolution you want to run it at. If you want to try running it at 4K, by all means, feel free to boost it up to 300%. I'm just running it in 1080p, so I got it at 150. You can bump it up really high and play with it and see how it works for you. I'm not going to. I'm just going to keep it at 1080p. I've been having a good time with that. I only have a 1080p monitor at the moment that I'm using, so I'm going to keep it like that. Right color buffers. Definitely make sure you have that on. Audio, I don't really think you need to mess with this much, except for convert to 16-bit, I believe is not checked by default. Don't need to mess with that. System, pretty good. Network's good. Advanced, I don't think you do anything with this. And emulator, show shader hints right here. I think this is on by default, which just means there's going to be like overlays that are giving you stats all the time. I don't have performance overlay on, and I don't have the shader hints on. You know, I don't really think there's a need for that unless you're just trying to debug what you're doing. That's really it. You don't even have to save the config. You can just go ahead and hit apply and close, and it'll save it to Demon's Souls. Oh, also, we are going to be wanting to patch this to 60 FPS. So what you're going to do, go to where you have your emulator at, and we're going to make a file called patch.yml. Okay, this is what it's going to read. You can open this with Notepad. You don't need Notepad++ or anything like that. And then all of this code right here, what you're going to want to do is go to the wiki, and this is the patch for 60 frames per second. And I believe, again, I think there's one for 120, but we're not going to be doing that right now. And this is super easy. If you want to make your own file and do patch.yml, you can rename it, or you can literally just make a new text document, like a new notepad, open it up, then you hit save as, and then you do all files, and then you can do YML and change it like that. And I'll show you exactly where to grab the code from. So right here, we're at the Demon's Souls wiki for the PlayStation 3 emulator. We click on 60 FPS patch, and then we click on it again. Oh, before we do that, go ahead and look. The increasing beyond 60 FPS causes physics issues. You can do 120 FPS, but it does some weird stuff with geometry. They're trying to fix it, and you can tweak with it if you want. I would maybe not. I'm totally fine with 60 FPS, and let me again show you how to do that. So right here, takes you right to it. You just copy all this goodies, and you paste it in that patch file, and then you're good to go. And here we go. Here we have the game. Isn't that cool? Look at us. We're playing around. This is Demon's Souls. I played this a fair bit on the PS3, but I really have been playing it on here. By a fair bit, I mean, I didn't beat it. I played it very little. I mean, this is like, you know, the first of the Souls-like stuff that I had an experience with, and it was hard and weird, and so I didn't play it for long. Really, I didn't get into these kind of games until Bloodborne, and then I came back and played through the Dark Souls and Demon's Souls a little bit more. So hopefully that helped you guys out. Again, feel free to experiment with doing the 120 FPS or playing at 4K or 1440p or whatever. Play at 16K, dude. I don't care. You can go crazy with it, but I hope that helped you out. Again, not showing how to rip the game. Sorry about that. I'll try to in the future once I actually get PS3 custom firmware and can do that easily. So, I don't know, look out for that, I guess. I mean, I really wouldn't wait for me to make the video. You should just go ahead and look up someone else's. But, yeah, I hope that helped you out.